everyone. Today I am excited to be introducing Sharon Munyaka. She is a highly experienced and well-respected member of the SIOPSA community. And today we are going to be talking to her about her career and her challenges throughout her career journey. She has built up a wealth of knowledge in IOP, and I am looking forward to having this conversation with her today. Sharon, thank you so much for taking the time out to speak to me, and I'm looking forward to our conversation.
Thank you so much, Tash, and a big hello to our SIOPSA community. Always a delight coming back home, which is how I like to view SIOPSA.
I don't think you left, Sharon.
I never left. Most presidents, after their term is done, tend to leave, but I found I never left. And for me, it's about being in service of the profession. So, yeah. What a journey.
Tell us a little bit about your journey. How did it all start? What made you end up being in the IOP field?
So I think, when we look at life journeys and we say, let's look at those seminal moments, the concrete memory that comes is getting to Fort Hare on a scholarship and being asked which program and thinking, well, I did an undergrad in psychology and I want to study IOP. There was something resonant about understanding behavior in the workplace. Initially, I thought clinical or maybe counseling or maybe, something to solve people's problems. But actually, my orientation is really towards what is abundant, what is possible, what is life-giving. And so industrial psychology became that. And I was like, okay, world of work seems pretty interesting. Understanding behavior at work, yeah, signing up for that. And what I remember about that season, this is 2002, yeah. And we did our master's, poster presentation for conference. So the conference presentation was 2003, and getting on a bus, getting to King Williamstown, from King Williamstown coming to Joburg, sleeping at the Formula One, getting to SIOPSA and thinking, there are people that look like me, and not seeing a lot, right? And also just being intrigued by the conversations and thinking, wow, this is the field that I am getting into. Huh. I wonder what it's going to be like. And so I was hooked. I was hooked from there, wanting to create the opportunities.
Great, thanks for that. And yeah, it's interesting when you say, we are the people that look like me. Um, can you maybe just share with me what went through your mind when you thought about we are the people that look like me?
So if I think about that stage, I'm probably what, 21 at that stage. I'm young, bushy-tailed, starry-eyed, and excited about the prospects and being in the back of Beyond. So you're in Alice, not much is happening there, right? And others were already plugged into the community. In our little department in this rural campus, not much was known. The understanding was you're going to do your master's, do internship for a couple of weeks. So it wasn't even aligned to what the HPSA required. So the knowledge was limited. And so see people who are called industrial psychologists, I was like, okay, but where is a Black person? Where is a woman? Someone who is able to tell the story of this is what I did. So there was no blueprint. I couldn't see anyone who would be able to take my hand and say, hey, come along. This is what I did. This is where you can go. So I had to figure it out. And part of commitment to SIOPSA and to be the coal face was based on my own experience. managed to do internships after my master's program. I took a very steep route because there was no clarity in terms of what I needed to do. So understanding what was required in terms of internship, understanding where I could go and get an internship, moving. And
Mm,
I was like, okay, is this ever going to happen? So I looked at all these systemic barriers that inhibited because of proximity from the hub. And so for me, it was a sense of, I think, forgotten. No one knows we even exist.
mm,
I don't know any other industrial psychologist. I don't know a Black industrial psychologist. Um, I don't know a woman who's an industrial psychologist. The flip side, though, the more I go to SIOPSA conferences, the years, because then I took a gap after that, when I was on my scenic journey, being a researcher, getting married, being a mom, and then 2009, no, 2010 came back. And now I'm seeing people who look like me. Now I'm plugging into the community. Now I'm starting to ask questions. So that was an 8-year gap
mm.
between that season. And so, yeah, that's what went through my mind. And actually the fire that keeps this passion going to say it can be done. Even when you're in the periphery, it can be done.
Thank you for that. I was just wondering what are the other parts that you can think of that really tested your resolve in this area of IOP?
So having to do a tailored internship wasn't necessarily by choice, but because I didn't have access to a structured program. So I listened to some of my colleagues who had the privilege of going through a structured program. What it enabled them is a blueprint. It enabled them access to say, oh, I could go in this pathway. But with a tailored program, you're kind of like, okay, we're making a boiki. Okay, maybe if I add a bit more potatoes, it's gonna work. Oh, and then you get feedback like, no, you actually need more carrots. Oh dear, okay, where am I gonna get from? Trying to go onto people. So from very early on, I needed to build a community of people who could help. I was fortunate to meet, the IOPs you saw earlier that are invisible. They're somewhere in the periphery. And there was one such woman in the Eastern Cape. She was just, and she's still under the radar. And I'm not going to mention her name because I know she wouldn't want to be known. But she was a because she was like, okay, I guess I can work with you. And I like that you're a mature intern because I was not coming straight out of a master's program. I had worked, I had moved into becoming independent. I was doing a whole lot of different pieces of work to try and build up a program. So it was hard. It was really, really hard. And I think for the average graduate in an IOP program, it's not the ideal way because it requires discipline, it requires access, it requires a whole lot of resilience, and there's no community because in a structured and a structured, yeah, lots of structure, lots of structure and guidance, you actually know, am I moving in the right direction? Or if I don't know this, I can talk to this person. But I was alone. Talk to this IOP who would guide me, talk to the academic supervisor who was sitting far away and getting a little bit here, a little bit there, not quite enough, go to the other side. So that really tested my ability to complete. But in the end, it was all worth it. It was a lot of sweat, a lot of tears, but eventually came out on the other side. Yeah.
Great. So yeah, it really tested your resolve and your perseverance, having an unstructured internship program. Tell me, what advice would you give to BIOPS who are at different stages in their careers?
So yeah, so that is so like I feel the resonance to that question because over the time I've met up with biops who enter the field at different stages. I met a couple of colleagues who had another profession before and then came into IOP. Others who had been employed full time, changes in their life, came into becoming an IOP. So people access the field in different ways, and the journey is not the same. So the advice is, first of all, just that acknowledgement that we all have a different pathway, and that's okay. But you have to have that North Star. Why does it matter so much? For some, it's about, I need to make money, and that's fine. Okay, if money is the motivator, we love it for you. For others, it's about wanting to grow their skill base. So for me, the IOP journey closely tied into my PhD, which was around positive organizational behavior. And to be able to test what I was learning, I needed to have a home. I needed a professional home and the credibility. So the picture was complete from that angle. So another piece of advice I'd give to my biop brothers and sisters is just be clear on how far you're willing to go. Because for some people, maybe you are coming in from a career where everything was there, you had a nice paycheck, you had nice benefits, and then you're moving into a field where you have to do an internship. It feels like you're going backwards,
Hmm.
but everything you've learned actually counts. Everything you've experienced in your career contributes. And representation matters. We need to actually show up. We need to be courageous enough to step into spaces that might feel unusual. There has to be alignment. I've found in my own journey that I am in spaces that I would never have imagined. I mean, in agroecology, I'm an industrial psychologist. I'm like, what do I know about food security? What I do know is we are in the business of people. We are in the business of people in the workplace. And the workplace is anywhere. The workplace is that spaza shop at the corner. The workplace is that big corporate. The workplace is public sector. It's a non-profit organization. The workplace is where people gather to fulfill a particular goal, to fulfill a particular purpose and be remunerated or create an economy that is viable. So take courage if you're wanting to step into the field and remain curious and see what is in your journey, what is available to you as you explore. And even when you fail, pick yourself up and keep going. It's worth it.
Wow, thank you for those insights. There's just so many that I can pick on if I just think about what you've shared so far. Last question from my side. What is your hope for the future of the profession and for the future of IOPs?
My hope, which is actually coming to fruition, because the future is already here, it's just unevenly distributed. And for me, if I think about this journey starting 2002, we're in 2025. People know what we do, more and more people. I am so encouraged when I get requests for work to say what we actually need is an industrial psychologist. You're not only coming in because of the skill set of understanding how work is organized, you also understand behavior. And that's an important component for us as we do a Section 189 during a retrenchment. We want to take care of our people. We want to make sure that all the elements are taken care of. Within conflict, it's like we need someone who gets it, who gets behavior at work, who has the empirical evidence and the grounding that supports the processes that are coming into place. So people will say, oh, but you can get any consultant or any professional to come into our field and do the work of people. What we forget is the rigor in our training that deepens what we can offer. So my hope and my desire for our profession is the continued alignment in creating thriving workplaces, in creating respectful workplaces where we are human and we center humanity. And we get to do that because we're looking at an integrated human. It's not just about the skills. It's also at a heart level. It's also around understanding culture, understanding engagement, understanding the implications of how one thing in an organization influences other parts of the system. So I'm hopeful.
Thank you so much, Sharon. There's just so many nuggets I can touch on. I appreciate you taking the time out to share your experiences with us, your perspective, and I'm sure what you've shared with us today is going to inspire and guide many others in their own careers. I think what I'm walking away with is being clear on what is your North Star and that we are in the business of people and that the workplace is anywhere. It's the shop around the corner.
Mm.
It's the nursery school. So those are the things that I'm taking away with me and being courageous about stepping into those uncomfortable spaces.
Mm.
My name is Tashiana Page, and I have been sharing this time with Sharon Munyaka, who was so gracious enough to take time out of her schedule and share her work experience with us. Sharon, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Tash, and onwards with IOP.
Thank you.